Hey Kaylee dog. Yeah, you look really cozy. Do you want to play Sonic CD on the Sega CD? Yeah? Okay, let's do it. Welcome back, you little nasties. I, of course, am your beloved host, the Nasty Bee. Today, we're going to be taking a look at a game that many people speak very highly of, and that's Sonic CD for the Sega CD, or as you Europeans and Japanese might know it as, the Mega CD. That's what it's called. And I don't have a Sega CD myself, actually, but what I'm going to be doing is playing this on my EverDrive for my Sega Genesis, so I'm about halfway there on real hardware. The EverDrive is just doing the emulation of the Sega CD, and I am fine with that because I don't feel like buying one. I do kind of wish, though, that this thing would emulate the 32X, but at the same time, that add-on is garbage, so I don't really care too much. But it's a miracle of modern gaming that devices like this exist. It pretty much makes channels like mine possible. Now today, I'm going to be taking a look at the American version of Sonic CD. I guess it's kind of important to mention that since there are different versions of this. The European and the Japanese version both have a different soundtrack from this one, but I'll be playing the music in the background while I review this one, so you'll have an idea of what's going on here. The music is fantastic, and that's pretty much all I'm going to say about it in this review. It is a Sonic game, and Sonic games, they just generally have really great music. This is no exception here. I can't speak for the Japanese or the European version. I haven't heard those, but the American version is really great. That being said, though, let's get right into the review. This game was released in 1993 and was developed and published by Sega. There's a story here involving the evil Dr. Robotnik, or Eggman, turning a planet called Little Planet into a fortress and kidnapping a princess using Metal Sonic and wanting a bunch of time stones to manipulate time to rule the world, and none of it matters, so we'll just gloss right over all of that. I'm going to do my best to get my mind back to a 1993 way of thinking when I analyze this game and be fair to it considering when it was released, but I will also keep in mind that this came out years after Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo, which really kind of set the standard for platformers at the time, and it'll be impossible for me not to compare this to what Nintendo or others like Capcom were putting out. And real quick, let's talk about how to play the game in the off chance you've never played a 2D Sonic game before. In my first draft of this script, I actually skipped over any of this detail because my brain automatically assumed you knew how to play a 2D Sonic game since he's been around for over 30 years, and it seems like common knowledge these days, but I realized I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't at least cover this info briefly in the off chance you've never picked one up and played it. So here it is. In a 2D Sonic game, you typically run from the left side of the screen to the right side of the screen to reach the end goal, and in between you dodge obstacles and enemies that want Sonic dead as fucking fried chicken. There are multiple zones, and each zone contains multiple stages, usually 3, with the boss fight in the final stage of each zone. While zipping through the stages, you collect rings or other power-ups, and taking any damage will see Sonic lose all of his rings, which you then have precious little time to collect as many back as you can before they disappear. You can kill enemies by jumping on them or by pushing down while running to roll into a ball and smash into them. If you get hit and you have 0 rings, Sonic will die. If you lose all of your lives, you generally get to continue, but have to start the zone back from the first stage. There are also bonus rounds in most Sonic games, and reaching them usually has different requirements, and in this game I believe the requirement is finishing a stage with 50 or more rings. That's essentially all you need to know about playing a 2D Sonic game. What makes these games fun and enduring is their simplicity, and they are pretty much accessible to anyone with a very short learning curve, much like a Mario game. Obviously, each game has its quirks and minor differences, and Sonic CD is no exception, but for the most part, 2D Sonic games follow a very familiar formula. Okay, now that this is out of the way, let's move on to the rest of the review. And let's be upfront before you shout at me through your screen about what an idiot I am during this review. I didn't read the instructions before playing, only after, because I needed some clarification on things for this video. But maybe I should have, because I definitely missed a few things. But you know, back in the 90s, if you were alive at that time, that you weren't reading instruction manuals. I certainly wasn't, and neither were you. Even if you weren't alive, you weren't reading the fucking manuals. One thing I missed completely while playing was the super peel out move, as the instructions put it. I didn't know this was a thing through the entire game, where you hold up on the D-pad and press A, B, or C, and Sonic will apparently run off at a high speed. I don't know for sure because I've never seen it. I had no idea this was a thing, and since I was able to complete the game without using it once, Sega must not really have cared whether or not I knew about it anyway, and they never felt like organically incorporating its use into any of the stages, so I missed out on that and probably looked like an idiot on my playthrough video, which I'll post sometime after this review is up. Yeah, I recorded me and my commentary during my entire playthrough, and it's probably pretty embarrassing since I had no idea how the game is played and no idea what was going on for almost the entire game. Time travel is also a feature in this game that I didn't understand at first. It took me about halfway through the game to realize that when you hit one of the past or future markers, which are similar to the save point markers throughout each level, that running fast for a certain amount of time after you pass them will then have Sonic travel through time and will change the graphics of the level that you're on to either the past or the future. This definitely explains some of the loopy level elements, which I thought were just shitty level design for the longest time, when really the game was wanting me to run fast in a loop for a bit in order to time travel, though the game never once makes it clear that this is the intention. This is a big issue for me, and one of my standing points here. Even though these elements in the stages exist, this game genuinely tries to stop you from running fast at almost every point, so traveling through time actually happens pretty infrequently, when as a Sonic game it should probably be happening quite a lot, since going fast is kinda Sonic's thing. This mechanic is pretty cool though, as there are multiple different scenes for every single stage in every zone here, so it'll take multiple playthroughs to see them all if you're so inclined. It bears repeating that this game does not once tell you how to play it at all while you're playing it, nor does it organically show you through clever stage design, and it probably should have, because at no point is it ever clear that you should be traveling through time for any reason whatsoever or how to do it. In fact, I'm not really sure why you even want to do this. I do know there are multiple endings in this game, but I feel like these are accessed through game completion time, not by time travel, but I could be wrong. I also don't think that the levels change in any way while time traveling, just the aesthetics of the stage changes, but I could also be wrong on that as well. Let me know in the comments if you know anything about this, or if you think I'm a fucking moron. Speaking on stage design, let's talk about this further for a moment. It was Ego Raptor, aka Aaron Hansen, from Game Grumps that talked about Mega Man X in his YouTube series Sequelitis, where he explored the intro stage of that game, which came out the same year as Sonic CD, and he did an excellent job demonstrating how this opening stage shows you all of the controls and everything else you need to know to play the entire game from there on out without mushing your face into human shit like a lot of hand-holding tutorials do in many modern games.
Next up are some flying enemies. Just jump and shoot them. Holy shit, I can jump and shoot at the same time! This game's amazing. This is so cool. This is so goddamn cool. What the fuck? Is that a bee? Yeah. Just to let you know, there's gonna be mini bosses, and they're gonna be fucking awesome. This battle also acts as a small misdirection for a battle that's coming up that I'll go into when it happens. It's gonna blow your fucking mind! Also, they drop these enemies that have these long legs. They walk real slow, so you get just the right amount of time to realize that your shots are going through their legs. They're not hitting them. So you just try the big dumb head, and bam, they're dead. So now you know that there are certain enemies who need to be attacked at certain sweet spots.
I'll link to that video below. It's worth watching. Well, Sonic CD does none of this. It just expects you to read the instruction booklet, and if you didn't, because we all know you didn't, well, good luck, my friend, because you'll need it, and throughout your entire playthrough, you're going to be confused and lost in the non-linear and samey-looking stages. Even if you read the instructions, which you didn't, you'll still be lost. There's no helping that situation. There were so many "where the fuck do I go" moments in Sonic CD, and a few moments I legit thought I was stuck and broke the game, and that's what we in the biz call shitty game design. It should always be clear where I need to go, even if I don't know how to get there, and many times that's not the case in Sonic CD. There's hardly any indications in the stage showing the player if they're on the right track, like just give me a simple arrow sign or something. And in the latter half of the game, I found myself wanting every single stage I'm on to end as quickly as possible, and later I just wanted the game to end, which is never the sign of a good game. Sonic CD has your standard enemies. If you've ever played a Sonic game, you know the deal here. There's cute robotic enemies, and like every other traditional Sonic game, you will typically jump or roll into them to kill them. And if you're real lucky, when they die, they sprout a sunflower for some reason. And sunflowers are fun. I actually like sunflower seeds a lot. I think the Biggs brand of sunflower seeds are the best. I could eat the dill pickle flavor all day long, so this is a wonderful bonus for me. I'm not a big fan of the David sunflower seeds, but they're okay. Sunflowers aside, the issue I have with this game that I don't have with any other 2D Sonic game that I can recall is that the enemies here are shitty, and they piss me off. And yeah, enemies are shitty, that's why they're enemies, but hear me out. In the later levels, there are enemies that spin rolling into them head on will damage you, which, up to this point, the spin roll has been a standard Sonic attack, and what you would do by default if you've played a Sonic game before, but here you will get damaged. Some enemies have spikes or razor blades, or will grab you and throw you backward or into spikes, which this game loves to do because sending you backward and not forward is Sonic CD's bread and butter. And I'm not shitting all over innovation, as it's cool Sega was trying to create new things, but the problem here is as follows. Doing the things you're supposed to be doing, or what you feel like you should be doing, which is going fast and moving forward, fucks you over repeatedly. You can't roll into these enemies and they damage you, and that's an ongoing theme with this game. This one makes me rage out at times, and I have a plethora of complaints about it, and I am to blame for some of it since I neglected to read the instruction manual, which I know you did too, but it's mainly on the game since it does absolutely nothing to explain how to play it while you're actually playing it. Other games such as, I don't know, Super Mario World, or to bring it up again, Mega Man X, these games come at you organically and explain to you how to play and what everything means as you progress through it. Maybe without telling you outright, but showing you through stage design what you should be doing. Since this came out years after Mario World and the same year as Mega Man X, I expect the same level, if not better, game design, and I didn't get it. And that's kind of bullshit, and Sega dropped the ball hard here, but yet many people suck their asshole when it comes to this game, and I honestly don't know why. Part of me thinks it's because it's an exclusive game on a console not many people had, so people are just being elitist. Or perhaps people really enjoyed it back in the day and were just overjoyed to get a functional non-FMV game on a console they spent hundreds on, but who knows? I mean, if I had a Sega CD back in the day and I was playing Sewer Shark nonstop, then got Sonic CD, I would jizz uncontrollably for minutes and be overjoyed to finally get a functional real game on this expensive-ass console with nothing but shit on it. Well, that's not entirely true, but a lot of it's shit. Basically, if you're fed human shit for a few weeks, then someone gives you a McDonald's cheeseburger, you'd be pretty obsessed with it, even though we all know it's garbage. Do you see my point here? There's no reason this game couldn't give you simple tutorials or build the levels around the things you need to know. Like perhaps in the first stage make it so you have to do a super peel out in order to progress past a certain point, or later on make it so the only way you can complete the stage is hit the future or past marker, and then give you a straightaway to run fast enough to travel through time to make it clear that's how it works. This game does none of that. It just throws you into it and doesn't make it clear what you should be doing whatsoever. So if you go into this expecting just another Sonic game and don't feel like reading the manual, which I know you don't, good luck with everything because this game won't help you. All it will do is punish you. I think the major problem with Sonic CD is the level design. Everything at least looks great, the levels are fun and colorful, the characters and enemies all look good, and as I mentioned, the music is fantastic. The problem with the levels is that they are absolutely terrible and confusing, almost all of them. This is a Sonic game where you gotta go fast, right? Blast processing my asshole. Every level stops you from going fast every chance it gets, but not only that, it stops you from going fast by usually having you run into a spring that bounces you backwards, or in the worst case scenario, into spikes. Sega loves spikes here, and there are so many spikes in this game, and there are spikes that are out of view that the level funnels you right into, or you'll run fast into a spring which punts you right into spikes that are out of view, or you'll run right off a cliff into spikes you couldn't see, or you'll run into an enemy that has spikes on it, or a buzzsaw, or fall into a bottomless pit that the level level funneled you into. Basically, this game punishes you for doing what the game was designed to make you want to do. You want to go fast, but when you do, you are constantly destroyed for doing it. On top of that, many of the levels are just a convoluted mess where you have no idea where to go and get stuck in endless loops while trying to dodge spikes, enemies, or electric coils that you can't see until you run into them. This game is full of this. You'll get stuck in endless loops with weird traps that damage you while you try to figure out how the fuck to get out of the small area that you're stuck in, usually involving springs bouncing you all over the place and pissing you off. This game even taunts you by giving you weird power-ups when you least need them. There's so many times you'll get the invincibility power-up when there's absolutely no action at all, and there's nowhere to go and no enemies to kill. You'll get the speed shoes that make you run super fast when you're trapped in a small section with nowhere to run. It's poor game design, and it's all over the place. The boss battles are a joke as well. They're usually just strange encounters during the final act in each zone where you just hit Robotnik or Eggman, however you know him in your region, a few times throughout the level and he dies instantly, or he just dies on his own because his machines are stupid and backfire. The only real challenge I had with him was on the final stage, where you have to actually take damage to beat him, and that wasn't clear to me, just like nothing ever was in this entire game. And since I kept losing at him, I just used the stage select cheat to get back to his stage instead of playing all through the final zone's 3 stages again to beat him, and was deprived of the ending because of it, and quite frankly, I cared so little since I was so ready for this game to end. Okay, look, there's 8 zones in this game with 3 stages each. Most of these stages are super annoying to play through, and of course you get your underwater stage titled Tempest, which slows the gameplay to a crawl, which I don't know why Sonic games have this, since you gotta go fast. And you get the most annoying stages ever with Wacky Workbench and Metallic Madness. In fact, most of these stages are super annoying. They are not straightforward, and they all stop you from progressing forward every chance they get. They aren't fun, but Metallic Madness does everything in its power as the last zone to make you stop playing the game, and after losing all your lives and continuing and having to start the entire zone over again, this game straight up makes you want to quit, because nothing is worse in life than playing any of the stages in Metallic Madness a second time. This is a simple 2D platformer. I'm not going to go more in depth than what I already covered. The gist of this review is that this game is infuriating and poorly designed. Does it deserve the love it gets from fans? Is it really one of the best 2D Sonic games ever made? I personally don't think so, but if you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know that my opinions on anything are shit. So do with that what you want. In my opinion, the other 2D Sonic games for the Genesis are better than this one, and I do mean all of them. I enjoyed Sonic 1, 2, and 3, as well as Sonic and Knuckles better than this one, but perhaps I have rose-tinted glasses on since I played those when they were first released, and I've never played through Sonic CD until this review. Basically, if you like 2D Sonic games, there's no real reason not to check this one out. It's super short, so if you don't like it, there's not much to lose here. You can beat it in about 2 hours, so at least the game respects your time, but maybe you'll fall into the other camp of people that absolutely love this game. I'm not in that camp, but perhaps I'm just missing the point of this one. Give it a shot though, that's the best I can say about it. There might be something here for you to love. Just don't be a 90s kid and neglect to read the instruction manual the first time you play this.
Okay, you little nasties, well that concludes the video. Now look, I didn't like this game very much, but I will say some of that is on me. Again, maybe I should have checked out the instructions first to figure out what the fuck was going on here, but I just didn't even think to do that, because whoever does that? But maybe you did that, and maybe you ended up loving it. I know this game, like I said at the beginning, has a lot of fans, and I'm pretty sure I'll get a couple hate comments down below. I'm totally cool with that. If you loved this game, that's awesome that you got some enjoyment out of it. I just personally didn't really care for it. But look, if you like 2D Sonic games, or you like Sonic in general and you haven't checked this one out yet, maybe give it a shot. Maybe you'll find something here that works for you. It's all subjective, you know? It doesn't matter what I think. Make your own decisions. Pave your own way. Anyway, that being said, thank you guys for watching this video. I will see you on the next one. I love each and every one of you. See you then.
Woohoo! Hey, Tails! Do you want to go flying on the new tornado?
No, girlfriend.
What? Huh?
No, Master Emerald.
Whatever.